Imagine standing in front of a door that has remained closed for 3,000 years. What could such an ancient, time-sealed place conceal, and what secrets might King Solomon have decided to take with him to his tomb? These questions echoed in the minds of archaeologists when they finally came face to face with the resting place of one of history's most enigmatic figures. Experts wondered whether opening that tomb might reveal insights that would change our understanding of antiquity, or, on the contrary, awaken something that should remain silent. When confronted with the imposing entrance, doubt was inevitable. Was Solomon's legacy limited to wisdom and wealth, or was it something more serious, maybe even supernatural? The answers began to emerge in the first moments inside the tomb. The atmosphere was heavy, almost palpable, as its lights illuminated symbols and scriptures no one had ever seen before. If you enjoy content that helps you grow spiritually, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join our community for more inspiration. Let's get started. Some of them were vaguely recognizable, resembling ancient Hebrew, but others seemed of a completely unknown origin. It was as if Solomon had left a puzzle destined for those brave enough to cross that threshold. Among the artifacts discovered, the sight of a crown adorned with sapphires and rubies dazzled, intact despite the passage of centuries. A scepter carved with millimetric detail and a scroll sealed with a strange emblem seemed to protect an even greater mystery. What did this scroll contain? Its fragile appearance contrasted with the powerful energy it emanated, leaving archaeologists perplexed and, to some extent, frightened. Israeli archaeologist Eilat Mazar, the team leader, pondered the risks of breaking the seal. That simple act could shed light on forgotten truths, but it could also open the door to unforeseen consequences. The place was not just a tomb, it was a reminder of the power and knowledge that Solomon seemed to want to preserve, perhaps even protect, from the wrong hands. Faced with that crossroads, archaeologists were not only exploring history, but confronting the weight of a myth that still lives on. Among the hidden passages and uncovered relics, the archaeologists moved forward cautiously, feeling that each find carried with it a spiritual and mystical weight. Among the tablets found, one stood out for its inscriptions in an unknown language, so ancient that even the most experienced experts could not decipher it. The engraved lines seemed almost to glow in the dim light of the lanterns, as if they contained a message destined to remain in the shadows. As the team examined these pieces, connections to legends surrounding King Solomon began to emerge. One story told of his famous seal, an artifact supposedly endowed with supernatural powers. Some of the inscriptions found seemed to depict geometric figures similar to those tradition associated with this object, leading archaeologists to wonder if, among the relics, they might find the real Seal of Solomon. Just as these archaeologists search for answers in the unknown, we all face moments when we long to discover something that will transform our lives. And sometimes those answers are at our fingertips. This is exactly what The Secret of Jesus' Apparitions offers, a path to clarity and peace through his revelations. This ebook delves into his prophecies and offers a glimpse of what lies ahead. It is available for free in the anchored commentary. Grab it now before editions run out. The clay seals discovered so far provided a partial map of the king's power networks. Names inscribed on them, though worn, suggested that they belonged to trusted advisors, key figures in his court who probably handled state secrets. One of the seals even had an inscription mentioning a word that, translated, meant guardian. This term reinforced the theory that Solomon had appointed specific protectors to guard his secrets. In another corner of the site, ceramic vessels began to reveal their purpose. One in particular had residues that, upon analysis, suggested the presence of frankincense and myrrh, materials traditionally used in sacred ceremonies. This sparked speculation about the possible use of the tomb as a ritual shrine, a place where the mysteries of the kingdom were intertwined with spiritual practices. Most intriguing was the appearance of small guardian figures buried next to the vessels. These precisely carved figures seemed to represent hybrid human-animal creatures with outstretched wings and imposing expressions. Historians debated whether these statuettes were symbols of protection or representations of the entities that Solomon was said to be able to control with his magical wisdom. Each step they took into the heart of the tomb seemed to reinforce the idea that this place was not just the final resting place of a king, but an epicenter of lost knowledge, a place where the earthly and the mystical intersected in unsettling and incomprehensible ways. In the shadows of the chamber, a structure on the wall caught the team's attention, an intricate relief that seemed to tell a story. In the center of the carving, a figure with a crown and raised scepter appeared to be Solomon, surrounded by symbols that combined Hebrew elements with completely unfamiliar designs. The archaeologists noticed that these figures not only told a narrative, but also seemed to conceal advanced mathematical patterns, as if the king himself had left a coded message in his art. While some team members focused on the reliefs, others examined a set of stone tablets stacked neatly in a dark corner. The tablets, at first glance, looked like simple records of inventories or administrative activities. However, when analyzed under ultraviolet light, hidden inscriptions emerged, written with some kind of ink that only glowed under specific conditions. These words, although fragmentary, referred to a ring ritual, a possible allusion to the famous Seal of Solomon. As they dug further, they discovered a series of meticulously aligned artifacts. One of the most intriguing objects was a translucent orb, carved from a material that did not match any of the known stones in the region. The orb emitted a faint glow and appeared to have tiny engravings that could only be seen with specialized lenses. Upon closer inspection, archaeologists began to notice that these engravings resembled star charts, possibly an astronomical guide indicating advanced knowledge of the heavens during Solomon's reign. These discoveries remind us of the importance of exploring beyond the obvious. If you're looking for something to inspire and guide, be sure to download your free copy of the ebook before they sell out. Near the orb, a metal reliquary was found, hermetically sealed, with spiral inscriptions mentioning the balance of the kingdom. Its contents were a mystery, but the materials used in its construction suggested a much more sophisticated metallurgy technique than was known at the time. Some theorized that this object may have been used in rituals to maintain the stability of the kingdom, a practice that combined spirituality with political symbolism. Rumors of curses associated with the tomb gained new weight when one of the archaeologists reported feeling an unexplained physical discomfort after approaching the reliquary. Although they tried to explain it away as a psychological reaction to the oppressive environment of the tomb, others began to wonder if the stories about magical protections were more than just myths. In the shadows of the chamber, a section of the floor began to catch the team's attention. Small carved reliefs seemed to represent constellations, and beside them, straight lines intersected at precise angles, forming a design reminiscent of the plans of an ancient city. The position of these lines pointed to an area that had not yet been excavated, leading archaeologists to surmise that there might be hidden passages beneath the surface. One of the archaeologists, with specialized tools, began to carefully remove the top layers of soil. Under the accumulated dust, a perfectly fitting rectangular slab emerged. Upon closer examination, they found an inscription warning of the judgment of the heavens for those who dared to continue. Despite the unease generated by this inscription, the team decided to lift the slab. Below, a narrow tunnel descended into a secondary chamber. The air escaping from the tunnel was dense, almost charged with an inexplicable energy. Upon entering, the archaeologists found a much smaller but equally striking room. At its center rested a pedestal carved from black stone, with inscriptions that appeared to be engraved with extreme precision. On top of the pedestal was an unusual object, a metallic sphere with a strange glow, as if reflecting light that was not present in the chamber. The sphere appeared to be divided into segments, each engraved with symbols that could not yet be deciphered. Strangest of all, however, was how it seemed to respond to touch. One of the researchers, when placing his hands on it, felt a slight buzzing sound, as if the object was emitting internal vibrations. Although no one said so aloud, some began to suspect that this sphere might have had a ritual or even technological purpose, something far more advanced than was thought possible in Solomon's time. On the walls of this secondary chamber, reliefs depicted scenes that seemed to show interactions between humans and figures with not quite human forms, possibly symbolic guardians or mythological beings. These images raised troubling questions about the spiritual beliefs and myths that may have influenced Solomon's court. As the team documented each detail, the sense of being in the presence of something larger than themselves grew. Each find not only offered answers, but raised new questions, plunging the archaeologists into an enigma that seemed designed to keep its secrets even as they were revealed. Just as the archaeologists are faced with a unique find, you too can access a resource that could make a difference in your life. Download the ebook now. There are only a few copies available. In a hidden corner of the chamber, a set of golden vessels caught the eye with their engravings. They were not Hebrew or from any known culture in the region, but geometric patterns reminiscent of Mesopotamian and Egyptian styles. Upon analysis, traces of resins and spices from as far away as India emerged, suggesting that Solomon maintained trade connections with civilizations far more distant than previously thought. These trade routes brought not only wealth, but also knowledge and technologies that could have influenced the methods of building and governing his kingdom. One of the most puzzling finds was a fragment of a map embedded in a stone tablet. This artifact depicted lines connecting what appeared to be seaports, some on the Red Sea and some on the Mediterranean. On one side of the map, there were inscriptions mentioning the passage to Ophir, a mythical region mentioned in ancient accounts as a source of gold and precious stones. This discovery revived the possibility that Solomon may have organized expeditions to this place, perhaps even with the help of nautical knowledge passed down from neighboring civilizations. In another section of the site, remains of metal tools reinforced the idea that Solomon's reign possessed more advanced technology. The alloys found were more complex than expected for the time, with a composition that indicated a mastery in the manipulation of materials to build resistant and precise structures. Prominent among these tools was a kind of chisel that showed marks of use that matched the intricate reliefs found in the tomb. This led researchers to speculate on the existence of specialized workshops that probably worked under the direct supervision of the king. The Jerusalem Temple, as the epicenter of kingship, was not only a place of worship, but also a symbol of architectural ingenuity. Some pieces discovered in the chamber suggested that its designs were influenced by foreign traditions, such as Egyptian-inspired columns and decorative bases similar to those of Babylon. These details confirmed that Solomon's reign was not an isolated domain, but but a melting pot of cultures that shaped his legacy and allowed him to achieve a level of greatness that few rulers ever attained. Each object recovered from the chamber revealed a little more about how Solomon leveraged interaction with other civilizations to strengthen his kingdom. However, these revelations raised new questions. What other secrets still lay buried, waiting to be uncovered? In a hidden compartment within the secondary chamber, a set of carefully rolled scrolls appeared sealed with black wax, an unusual substance that appeared to have preservative properties. Initial analysis indicated that these texts may have been written with an ink composed of rare minerals and natural resins. Although none of them could be opened immediately, the arrangement of the seals suggested that they might contain ritual instructions or even formulas related to advanced spiritual practices. One of the most intriguing finds was a series of small figures carved from jade, a material not native to the Jerusalem region. These figures represented hybrid creatures similar to those of other ancient cultures, such as Mesoamerican or Asian representations. Although their exact purpose was unknown, researchers theorized that they may have been used as protective amulets in specific ceremonies, or even as offerings in rituals related to fertility and prosperity. Each symbol and find seems to contain a priceless truth. If you wish to delve into your own personal discoveries, don't forget that the ebook is available for free, but there are only a few units left. The chamber also contained a crystal object that, when illuminated, projected luminous patterns on the walls. These patterns formed a perfect circle, surrounded by geometric figures reminiscent of designs used in ancient esoteric traditions. Some scholars suggested that it might be a tool used to calculate stellar positions, thus linking religious practices with astronomy, a knowledge often considered sacred in ancient civilizations. In the center of the room, an obsidian slab decorated with intricate engravings appeared to be an altar. On its surface, scorch marks and residues of aromatic oils indicated that it had been used for some kind of ritual. The engravings on the slab showed complex symbolism that included intertwining circular shapes and serpentine patterns, common representations in contexts that sought to connect the earthly with the divine. As the archaeologists proceeded with the exploration, they faced an unexpected challenge. Certain passages within the chamber appeared to be deliberately blocked with rocks and clay seals. These obstacles not only made access difficult, but also conveyed the impression that there were areas specifically intended to remain sealed off. This detail added a layer of mystery, raising the possibility that even in his death, Solomon sought to limit access to the more hidden aspects of his knowledge. If this post makes you think and you feel it connects with you, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. Also, if you really want to support our work and help us continue creating valuable content, consider giving us a super thanks. Join this amazing community and don't miss any news. The newly discovered artifacts and symbols not only complicated the narrative of a wise king and builder, but also pointed to a spiritual and technological world that we are just beginning to understand. Each find reinforced the idea that Solomon's tomb is much more than an archaeological site. It is a multifaceted enigma that challenges our perception of antiquity.